student who's like, I'm going to drop out. And we're all like, no. So there's, there's a rally cry for these kids. Like, we have homework center for students. So, like, there's no option for them to, like, opt out of learning. It's constantly, we now have, like, 4 counselors. There's counselors checking in with students, doing, like, a check-in, check-out system. So I feel like there's a good accountability with the students, more so than I've seen before. And as far as staff, I know we had a couple leave last year, but as far as, like, the math department, which is, like, the only department I'm really aware of, per se, no one's left since I've been here. Yeah. Now, I know before I was there, they had a couple other freshman algebra teachers, maybe just 1 or 2, I'm not sure. So I don't know if they were left or if they were asked to leave, or I'm not sure on the circumstances of that. Yeah. But as far as the department, for 2 years now, it's been consistent. One teacher is leaving next year, but she's leaving to go study abroad for 2 years, or to teach abroad for 2 years in Vietnam, and then she plans on coming back to the school. And she was one of the original people that started the school. Okay. And, like, the principal has, like, said, like, you're welcome to come back. So, and she's, like, created the volleyball team and the softball team, like, department, like, the program, because they had to start with nothing. It's just freshmen. Yeah. And this year I did take on coaching freshman volleyball. So, like, I guess I'm getting more involved this year, back to that question from earlier, but and I think other teachers have left, but they've left to, like, go teach at college or do something outside of teaching. So it's not like they're leaving the school to teach somewhere else. Right. It's, like, more to move on. Some of the teachers at our school are their second profession, so they're alternative certified to teach. Like, 2 of the, I know for sure 2 of the people in the math department. One was an engineer, and one of them worked for, like, data analysis for CPS in the main office. And so she transitioned into teaching. And she did her internship. And both of those people came with the Infinity School, because the one did her internship with the Infinity School and then got hired into Back of the Arts, and the other one came from Back of the Arts. Okay. But, yeah. I don't think there's a lot of attrition. Yeah.
Have you ever felt any hostility from staff or from parents or families?
No. It's a great school. It's like, it's shocking. Like, you're like,
so then now it's like some more specific questions about stress. So what are some of the major sources of stress that you've experienced as a teacher? I know you've given some examples, like the multiple preps, but maybe other stressors that you haven't mentioned. They can be even just periodic or they can be constant. Yeah.
I think definitely when I first started, it's just the uncertainty of it. I remember when I first started coming into my internship, and I was talking to another teacher, or she's a coach at that first school I worked at. That was a school improvement grant and all that stuff. They had a literacy coach and a numeracy coach. And I remember talking with her, and it's always resonated with me. She's like, you care, you try. That's what it takes to be a good teacher, but it's still so stressful to not know if you're doing the right thing for the students at the right time, or just not knowing, because it's an interesting thing to be a teacher, to, like, come in and expect it to be proficient or to be this, like, wonderful teacher, but you really can't learn how to teach until you start teaching. It's like, it's craft. So I think that's just been a major stressor always for me. And I get worried that I'm not doing enough, or it's not the right thing for the kids, or I'm not reaching the right kids, or I messed up and I called someone out and now they're upset, and now I have to figure out how to rebuild that relationship with that student, or I'm not building good enough relationships with students. They're kind of too superficial. So when I'm asking students to do things, there's a risk-taking situation. They're being put on the spot. So I think that's a big stress for me personally. It's just I have a hard time building authentic relationships with students. I think I've gotten better at Back of the Yards. I also feel like in Back of the Yards, like, my kids respond so well to the energy I put into the classroom that it makes me want to put more energy in the classroom. So then I feel bad when I don't put that energy into the classroom. So it's the work-life balance is always hard. And if I enjoy, like, it was my birthday on Thursday this past week, so I enjoyed myself this weekend. And then, of course, I was up last night late because I enjoyed myself this weekend. So it's just like, yeah, it's just that stresses me out a lot. And as far as like planning and all that stuff, the planning is stressful to me because of that feeling of need to do so much for them and to be to have everything ready, to be meticulously prepared. And it's just not always possible to get everything done in time. This fall I've been like trying to be really great about staying on top of my grading. So I for a while was staying at school till 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. and or wouldn't be getting home till 8 p.m. And because I live like on the north side, so it's just that's stressful in a way too, because I'm married and I have cats and I want to be home, and but yeah, I think it sounds hokey and like cliche, but it really is like am I doing enough for these students? Am I preparing them enough? Is this curriculum correct? And then like you get into that self-doubt cycle, and then you're sitting planning for hours and you haven't got anything done because you're like, wait, is this better? Is this better? I don't know. Is there a better approach out there that I haven't found? And then you start Googling, and then you end up on Teacher Pay Teachers because you're like, oh my gosh, I can't worry about this. It's just a small part of like a bigger picture. Yeah. And then this year has been a big focus on because there's like this stat that's out that the kids are 4 times more likely to graduate from high school if they achieve B's or better in their classes. So this year, I'm kind of out of myself in the department for doing this, but I mandate students to do retakes on their assessments because all of our grades are based on assessments if it's not a B or better. So I am calling home. I'm going down to the cafeteria, talking to students, bringing them up. But we've had this good meeting this year. Last year I did a lot of that, like sitting in the cafeteria on my lunch break, which you don't get paid for in CPS. So I would just sit down there and like work with students during lunch because they wouldn't come up to my room to do retakes for whatever reason. But this year we have an I-block session. So like I meet with the principal and like this, one of the counselors and the dean of students, and we talk about like the list of students like who need support. And that's really helped alleviate that stress for me because I know like I'm doing what I can do, and they're like able to like help me, talk me down off the ledge a little. Like you can only do so much for a student. Like they have to want to also do better, and like you're providing all the structure and support for them, and if they choose not to take advantage of that, it's on them, not on you. And so that's been helpful to have that like voice and those people on my side to be like, and I guess it's another sign of support from the admin that like you have kids at D's, but you're doing everything that you can in your ability to make it not be that way. And I'm like, yeah, I am. More so. And then I was like assigning it as lunch detention for a little while this past right before Christmas break. So I had up to like 40 students in the science lab because it's only 3 rooms during lunch. Like all doing retakes, and they were all working because I told them I would call home or do something crazy if they didn't like come in and do it. And it worked for a while, but it was also unbelievably stressful because then I have 40 kids asking me for help at the same time. So the retake policy is definitely a good thing and a curse, and I don't know if I'm preparing them for college, but I just want them to master the skills so they're successful in later math. So it's just like, it's a lot.
Yeah. And you kind of talked about this in your example with now you're working with the admin, but how aligned would you say that their expectations are to your own in terms of what you're expected to do from your admin to what you actually hold yourself to?
Well, I was doing that. I did it like, so this does speak out grades for a specific example. Last year I did it, if you got below a C, I made you do a retake. And so I was doing that, and I was going down there, and like no other teacher I know was like in the cafeteria as often as I was, because I never saw any other teacher. And there was no admin support around that. This year there is that admin support. So I feel like from what I was doing last year, they also see that as a way to helping students be successful and pushing. I will say they pushed a little beyond that because they want everyone to have B's or better. So I'm like conferencing about kids that have 73s or 75s, like, that truly have a C, and they're okay with having a C. And they're very reflective in the meetings too. They're like, oh, we hear that from all the other teachers, that they're just comfortable with having a C. So, I mean, I would say they're aligned. I don't think they have like far passing expectations or unrealistic expectations.